Hey, there we go.
Oh, now you got me. All right. 1907, we have a quorum, so we are going to get started with our Board of Education meeting. Both Kelly and Joan are excused absences, so just gonna put that. And if we can start with the Pledge of Allegiance, the right ones. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public comment? All right, so we've got minutes from the 19th. I just want to note on page 1 that Mrs. Travella was excused. Which is still and I just had a question about this. Because technically, like all of 6 was moved up. So 6B, yeah, so 6A and 6B were moved up. So I don't know if
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry, I was just asking because
Yes.
so on page 2 to 3, we actually moved both 6A and B up. So I think you can just like delete the information part of it out of it and just put it up. And that's all I got. So I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I'll make a motion.
Nate,
Second.
Nate, any further questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Correspondence.
In your packet, you will see a copy of a letter that was written to the Brooklyn Democratic Town Committee. They did make a donation on behalf of one of their members, and it was specifically earmarked for the cross-country and track teams. The daughter of one of the members is the mother of one of our students. And so I did respond. I did include a copy of the letter there for you. At the time of this writing, I thought I would have the letter for Jewett City Savings Bank. I do not have the letter yet. Jewett City Savings made a donation to our first grade class who went and performed. So all of our classes has been a tradition. So May was there, and the place was packed. And awesome. It was just great.
I was back in there and I got a chance to I was waiting for the girls, so I got a chance to actually look at the ornaments that they put on, and they were really good. They did a great job.
So, we like the opportunity to share our talents and our children with the community. And, I know that there was some conversation about, can we continue to fund this? We spend money to get there, and then but it is a nice opportunity for kids. There are 3 generations of families that were there watching who had participated, I think. So it's been that long. So anyways, a lot of proud parents and lots of cameras videotaping, and it's just wonderful. So, and we thank the Jewett City Savings. They did make a donation, a $500 donation. What was said at the time was that there was they were making a $200 donation, and a $300 anonymous gift was given to them. So they have some anonymous, generous donor. So we appreciate it. I believe that the school sent a thank you, or I'm sure the first grade sent, but I just haven't gotten that. Yeah.
And Brooklyn's Best.
So you see that there's some absent information. I still think Brooklyn's the best, but we did have a short window of time. At the time of the writing, it was 11 school days, so just the holidays and all that. I will just verbally give two updates. One is that the grade 4 here participated in a writing contest, creative creature, I think it was. And so they submitted writing samples, short writing samples, and 39 of our 4th grade students had their writing submitted or accepted for this publication. There were 6,000 entrants, so 39 is pretty nice. And then I would highlight our boys and girls basketball team. They're amazingly outstanding. They're winning and doing really well. But one of the things that I would say, and I try to communicate it through my blog, is what I'm seeing them learning is so much more than basketball and winning. What I'm seeing them is learning sportsmanship and teamwork and just really kindness to one another. And there's very supportive and a lot of supportive people in the stands. Staff, students, families, of course, grandparents and grandmothers, and so it's just really fantastic. So that's just a shout out for our best.
Could we mention the fall challenge that Mr. Maloney is doing?
Thank
Part
you.
of that?
So just 2 days ago, we
Yeah,
started
exactly.
voting, and so his challenge, he has written he submitted a video and an application to receive an award through Follett. Thank you for bringing that up. And there's voting going on, I think, for about 9 more days, maybe. I think it's a very short window where he is explaining about STEAM and those types of activities. So if he was to get the most votes, there are a certain number of prizes. He could get up to, I think it's $10,000 if he was awarded, if he won kind of by voting. I think there's a 10,000. Are you looking at the email? 10,000, 5,000, and there's one
Yeah,
more.
I think it's up to like 60,000 that we could possibly get. right?
60.
Yeah,
Oh,
60.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
60.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's up to 60 that you could win. Or
Thank
from
you.
the contest, right?
Yeah, so the voting's going on now. I think he's good at
You can vote
setting up
every day.
every day. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried to do it last night and they kept putting in the code that it said there and it wouldn't take it, And then when I went to my email, it had sent me a new code. Is that?
Yeah, it was sending you
Do
the
that?
code.
Every day.
So I need to get the code.
Yes, tonight. There's still a few hours left. Thank you for bringing that up.
All right, current budget report.
So just the typical fashion, the budget report is in your packet. You will see that we are projecting a negative balance right at this moment. Again, there's still some things that need to be unencumbered, as some of our staff that are retiring, we finally close out and pay out some of those. We still have to reduce the transportation by some. So there are some pieces that are coming. There are still some grants that are being, we draw down throughout the year. So we've encumbered the funds for salaries for the teachers that are paid for the grant. And then as the year goes, we draw down those funds. And so it's kind of an up and down number on here. But, we're just continue to watch this as we go. As in February, we'll probably be spending like every 2 weeks, kind of sitting down, collectively looking at it. And then once we get a little closer, we'll be spending some more time on that.
I hope, as a finance director begins to work with the software company, I understand she was working with them all day today and will tomorrow, that we, number one, make as many of these unencumbrances or adjustments in grants, the way grants have been entered here if we can. And secondly, that we take a look at whether there's a way of revising this financial report for next year, frankly, it's unintelligible. I have no idea how anyone manages the school using this financial report. As a minimum, the reductions that you planned, the reduction in budget based on expenditures you planned not to make ought to be reflected in this. So we're running 2.8% below a budget which is higher than what we actually expect to operate on. I won't say anymore. It's just an unintelligible report.
So I appreciate that, and I certainly would love to sit down. I know you've alluded to this before, and so I'd be happy to sit down, and maybe even Kathy and I can talk about that, and then we can share maybe a couple different models if there's something you would like to see that might be clearer for you, you know, as a board, so that you're able to track what it looks like. I think that there are some improvements Kathy and I continue to talk about, how we can report, track, and set it up just initially.
I understand everybody has plenty of other things to do, and I try not to harp on this anymore than I guess I have already, but it's hard to manage like a $17 or $16 million enterprise if you don't really have an idea of what the finances are.
I do agree with Jeff in the sense of I'm getting the concept in theory, but actually you don't know where the bottom line is. Like there's just no way to figure out where the bottom line is. So I do agree with Jeff that it is a bit confusing, and we need to know, I mean, especially in the climate that we're in this year, and it's not looking like next year's going to be any better, that we have to stay as close to whatever the line in the sand is as possible, so that we know that we're on. And it's very hard to do, it's $400,000.
I want to mention one more thing. I'm looking best just to go back a little bit. Sorry. There was another. I just wanted to commend. I know there was another grant that was applied for today. I think. Right?
Yes.
Submitted the grant, and it was headed up by Mrs. Young and Mrs. Brady in the elementary school. So, and that also is. It's a grant application for $35,000 for a STEM program as well. So, wish them luck. I know I'm not sure when they're going to do that, but you know, that's something we should mention too, I think.
While we're on budget, during the Pomfret fuel problem,
Yes.
when they were in Brooklyn, I made a comment that we're not using our diesel fuel, so we're going to diesel buses. But I was informed that our buses are never diesel.
So, so the situation last year is that we thought so when the contract was signed,
Yeah.
we said we want all diesel buses.
Right.
And my understanding was that last year, some of the vehicles were not diesel. And so that was surprising to us.
Well, I know the vans, but some of the actual big
Yes,
buses.
there were a couple of buses
Okay.
that were not. And so, so this year we started with some vehicles that were gas as well, some of the vans, but then also I think that we had 2 buses that were still gas. I'm not sure that the 2 buses that left us are the 2 gas ones, because I think one of the gas buses is a small bus, and we still have one of the small buses. So we still have 2 small buses. So I think we still are consuming some gas, but the majority of our buses have been diesel all along.
Even last year.
Even last year.
Even when we didn't use, we had so much surplus.
That's correct.
But that was not because we weren't using any. Apparently.
That's
We were
correct.
still using some.
We were still using,
I think we were led to believe last year that all our buses were gas and they were using the gas station and not using the diesel. That was not true.
no, that's not.
That's what I was informed.
When I
was
arrived,
mostly misinformed.
when I arrived this summer, I went to the bus company and they said, so I understand you're putting gasoline in some vehicles. And they said, yeah, we take this kid for summer school. And I said, would you use the diesel? Because we have extra diesel. So they've been, ever since the
Fine.
summer, knowing that that's our priority is to use the diesel.
So they've been maybe shifting buses.
Yes.
They may have taken away our
Yes.
bigger buses that could have been gas.
Gasoline. I will follow up though. I'll let you know.
But it seems like we still have excess, right?
I
Is that
think,
what this is saying? Because
Yes.
it says range today 23,000, and we have 104.
Right.
Well, that, it will be hard to tell. That's gas and diesel put together, and they're not broken.
That's correct.
Okay.
We are monitoring that. So we actually, in this last 4 weeks or so, have used a lot of heating fuel, which is part of that combined contract. So probably more fuel than we would have anticipated. So
It ships.
yeah, and they do that. They're able to say, you know, if you've got 80% in diesel and 20% in fuel, if you want to shift that ratio, you can. It's a different rate for each, but they.
We may not be
same
having
company.
wholesale diesel sales since June.
We may not. We may fill all our tanks and be okay.
Okay.
But we will, we're moving forward in that contract for, not, you know, trying to anticipate what we are really going to use without having knowledge.
Substitute calling service.
So, one of the things that we are exploring, and there's a brief, several pages actually of an explanation in here. We currently have, a person that does a stipended position. She receives all the calls, she calls all the subs to bring them in, and it's difficult. It's a big job to do. And so for not a lot more, we're looking at the possibility of moving into a sub-serving calling service for next year. So this is one of the things that you'll see in the budget. And so I had asked Kathy, our business manager, to reach out to CASBO, a group of other business managers, and see what are other people using. And so she provided us some information about that. There were kind of three responses. Frontline, or ASOP, is the most frequently used service, and they really have it down to the science. And so again, for not a huge amount more, we have a product that teachers can check their phones, they can call in sick. If I'm the sub, I get an alert, there's an opening, I can accept it right away, as opposed to waiting till someone calls you. And you can see what it is, you can pass, I'm not available today, or if I'm the teacher and you four are my favorite subs because you work best with my students, priority sub, so the call goes to you first. And then if none of you are available, it'll go out to the general public. I think it might provide an opportunity for some subs who don't currently receive the phone calls to maybe join our sub.
Increase our
Yes.
pool.
So we don't have a very big pool right now, and we often have unfilled positions just because there's not a person to put in there. So I'm thinking as,
That's no different than any other district locally. Everybody that I've heard from is, from everybody in the same position, that there's always an overabundance of spots.
and I think, you know, just in this day and age with the number of phones that are sitting here, you know, if you're a sub and you're looking for a job and it beeps you at 7 o'clock tonight, you can take it. Maybe we'll get a position filled sooner than waiting for the sub to have to call that night. So the ASOP program is really well organized. It also helps to track attendance for those people that are using subs. So you can get attendance reports very easily out of that, which is a nice way. As an administrator, I can look at any time and say, oh, I've got, you know, 5 people out and 2 unfilled positions. And so I look again at 5 in the morning and I say, oh, I filled them. You know, 2 people took them. You also have the option of personally inviting somebody. You know what, Amy, you didn't take that job. So Amy, can you take this job? I really have this job. I really need some help. And so you could call, you can send another alert to that person. So it's really customizable and very user-friendly on both ends.
That's the ASOP system?
Frontline, ASOP, yeah.
Could you just explain the current situation again? Is it the case that one of our clerks here gets extra compensation for handling the substitute list?
That's correct. It's a paraprofessional.
I see. And the comment that it's larger than one person can effectively manage, does that mean that there are deficiencies in the way it's being handled now?
You know, I talked to the employee when she read that, she said, this is not about me, I work really hard to do this, and so, that wasn't the intent of this,
No,
but
and I'm not looking
Right.
to
So,
fault any individual.
as far as a deficiency, I would say, no, but I think that the automaticity of, sub-home service is, it just is more.
Yeah, well,
efficient.
I'll say something which, of course, nobody wants to hear, but $1,500 more is $1,500 more. You'll have to find $1,500
Right.
from someplace else that you don't want to spend.
Right.
And lastly, I'm unfamiliar with the ESOP program, but I have had some experience with with Kelly and some similar services, and I certainly hope the ability to make the ESOP program user-friendly on both sides is, as you say, it is, because the Kelly service certainly is unfriendly to everybody except Kelly. And there are other services that don't allow the enterprise to make much in the way of selections among a pool of candidates, when I think we all know that in schools, certain teachers would prefer to have certain substitutes come and not others, so.
I have personal experience with this program,
Okay,
and it's exceptional.
good, thank you.
Well, and it just sounds like if this is if they're, and bear with me if I didn't understand that correctly, if I'm a teacher, and so I had the app on my phone to say, it's 7:00 tonight, and I said, yep, stomach bug is in the house, I'm not making it tomorrow, I don't care what's happening, I can put my absence in now, and it automatically sends out the alert now, so I don't have to wait for the para that's doing the call till whatever time she does her calls, like instantaneous. So if May wants to, if she's my preferred sub, it would go out to her first,
Yes.
and then she can meet, like, so like 2 seconds later, she can get it, and
It's
so
something.
could be filled before even that para would necessarily be compiling the list for calls, okay.
And the benefit for accepting, like I'm here, I can't call the person back,
Right.
but if it's texting, sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is a benefit.
And as an administrator, I know what I'm coming into before I get there. Right now, you never know. So for example, today or yesterday, there were 3 or 4 teachers short. And so you're shuffling people and, you know, our secretaries are spending the first 45 minutes signing you there and you there and you two go there and we're gonna split this, you know, and so it provides an administrative kind of oversight that I at least know if I see that I'm 3 short, I might be starting to make my own phone calls on the way into work saying, you know, May, are you sure you can't work today?
One of those masks on from the.
Of course, yes.
Technically, they can't work just for the Board of Ed. so
That's right.
it takes So it kind of gives you that, it gives, as a, for administrative level, it gives you a heads up, so you may not be able to solve the problem, but at least you know that you're walking into chaos right from the beginning.
So the task that's ahead, the paraprofessional that now no longer would need to do this one task, what do they do instead? They have other responsibilities that they can do for the district?
So she works full-time for the district during the day. This is sort of.
This is that, okay, I got it.
It's just a pain in that
I was
problem.
gonna say, okay.
But I think you are gonna need to have, you know, like I'm reading through the contract there and they talk about train the trainer. You know, it'd be good, you're gonna, I mean, first of all, you're gonna have to make sure that there's, you know, enough people are signing up and using it as far as teachers go, right? And then,
They won't have a
They all
choice
would have to
because
use
it's what we have.
well,
It's the only way to get a
They
sub.
won't, that paraprofessional won't be available to them by phone anymore. They have to use this if they have a
So
sub.
this will be their attendance track too.
I understand that. That's fine. If we,
But yes, there is a training level.
Yeah.
There's definitely training that goes with it. I've never actually sat through a training. It's very intuitive.
Yeah.
For most.
Yeah.
I think there'll be some that will need more support. But it's kind of like kids picking up an iPad.
Yeah.
They know how to do it. They push the button and
Call out.
yeah. And so I think that there's some setup. You know, if I really want those 2 people as my preferred sub, then I need to know how to set them up. And so, and there are some intricacies about it, you know, if it's a professional day, you track it, and has to have approval by the administrator before it gets sent out, so we can set up those regulations. If it's a personal day, that requires 3 days of notice, versus, if it's a sick day, it just automatically goes out to the subs.
Yeah, I was just more mentioning, there's some people are adverse to change, and especially when you throw technology into it, they get, some can get intimidated by it, so.
Yes.
Just a little anger, a little tears, you get through it.
That's why we're doing
Throwing the thing is line over.
And then you have the situations where the preferred subs of the teachers are not the preferred subs of the administrators.
Or the students.
Creates friction all the way around.
So are we looking to vote on this, or are we looking to?
I just wanted to inform you, I
Okay.
don't know that it needs an action. I have not run this through, the teachers yet, or, you know, haven't given that option to people to weigh in yet. I just wanted to put it out there as something to inform you that it's something we're looking at.
I would be interested, since I believe, and I might be wrong in my belief, that I think some of our teacher and our parasubs may sub at other districts since some of these are like Killingly, for instance, is what neighboring. If any of them, besides yourself, have experience as being the sub that's being called, like to see if you know what their thoughts are, you know, have they downloaded the app, you know.
And you were thinking of this for next year? Yeah.
Yes.
So because it has a budget implication, we'll have to make sure it gets suited by that before.
Right. So I certainly can get some feedback. Once I send it out, I'll get some feedback.
Well, I mean,
Sure.
just as a feedback for, you know, for instance, if I was a sub at Killingly, then you
Right.
have to use all the time at Killingly, maybe my feedback might.
I never saw that Killingly because they send you that stupid electronic.
Or, you know, or it
and I
might,
don't know how to
help, you
respond.
know, talk today and say, like, yeah, it's actually really easy, and then I get like she's saying, I'm at a meeting and I get my text message at 7:05, and I can't talk on the phone right now to accept the call, but guess what, I said, yes, I want the job for tomorrow, and I can plan my day now, 'cause
I can reach out to our sub pool now and just see if anybody's currently using it and get a sense from them. That's good.
Never have to do anything.
you know, personal experience of, yeah,
Right.
easy push button, all good. All right. Committee reports, we just did some budget talking, earlier at our workshop. We'll talk about that a little bit more in your business. I did put off, I took the policies that we were going to talk about off of that, because Joan wasn't able to be here tonight. Since she's pretty much had been steering the policy committee, I just wanted to make sure that she was here, for those conversations as well. So, make sure that you read them, if you haven't read them yet. Right.
We'll just keep you on some more time.
Yeah, I'm just giving you more time, so there's no excuse now, we've had a couple meetings now, but I just wanted to make sure that, you know, she was involved in that, just because she's been so intricate in all of the other policy discussions. As far as representatives to other committees, Board of Finance was canceled this month.
It was screwed up this month, is what it boils down to. I canceled it, but the email message didn't get to very many people.
No, we were all there waiting for you.
I heard they had a good visit though.
That's okay. Hey, I got to go shopping.
You were out of the house.
I had like 45 minutes all by myself. I was very excited. So, recreation.
No idea.
There was a meeting I did not attend.
Okay.
Did we ever go through did we ever go through a signing committee? Representatives after the addition of this?
We
No.
did not do that. And again, because Joe was not present last month, and I thought she was.
Okay.
Yeah, After the breakfast the other day, I was talking to Tony, and we were talking about capital, and I think the facilities person was Eric, so we don't have one now.
I
Who
think-
has even met with him or, you know, collaborated on what we,
So we'll look at that next month.
prioritize the needs.
I technically have gone to the Capitol meetings.
But this was a person on the board who would meet with Tony and Patty, and prior to going to the capital meeting, just to say, and I know we used to, and Tony said it's not as, not quite as well defined as it used to be. We had a 20-year projection and a 10-year. And like he was saying, this building's approaching 25 years old. Everything was done at the same time, the mechanicals and all of that. And we should be putting on potential items that will need work. And he already has a list, but I mean, that used to be done with a board member and the superintendent, a facilities person, and just have a schedule of that, just to give the board of finance and capital committee an idea of not only what we need this year, but what we may need in the next 3 years, 5 years, 15 years.
I heard there was a volunteer for that.
What?
I heard there was a volunteer for that committee.
Was that me? Yeah.
Well, I know
Big
that in talking,
Well, I can meet with him during the day. That's a lot
Yeah,
easier.
that's good. well, he's here today, so that's good.
Well, Nate was telling me he's dying to get on like 3 committees, so let's get him
Yeah.
that.
That's what he said. Every night of the week, he wants to be busy.
Well, I did talk with, Joe, he's working on setting up some capital meetings. And I did pass on the message to Patty that having that, you know, kind of 5-10 year plan would really be helpful for that, for
And we
them.
have one, and he said the skeleton of it is still there, and there's still some items on it, but it's not as updated.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it, but it has been updated since he's been here. But we started talking about the driveway and the potholes and.
Well, I did express, because we talked about driveway, I said, well, I know that we talked about driveway, but then we said that we weren't going to be doing any sort of fixing of the driveway until after the roofs were done, because there'd be no point, because it'd be,
Right, thank
So,
you.
but
That's what I
yes.
said to Tony. It was originally part of the roof project, but then we weren't ready for the traffic pattern. I think there was money, I'm sure it's going now, but there was money set aside for repaving at least that portion.
but it couldn't be done until after the roof was, all of the equipment.
Yes,
So I don't-
that's been years now.
No, these roofs.
Oh, these roofs, oh no, this goes back to the
Oh.
5 years ago, the gym roof. It was part of the gym roof program,
That was.
I'm pretty sure. That's
Oh.
gone.
That's
I
all I was
understand how that's
gonna
gone.
say. That's probably
And
6
we
years
didn't
gone
want
by
it,
now.
and nobody wanted to pave it because they were talking about redesigning the traffic flow and all that, and we're just like, we're just gonna rip up the new pavement, doesn't make sense.
And if you didn't hear my discussion about how there won't be more money to spend this year than
Yeah, I
last
understand.
year, that applies to capital too.
So we should just get a
But
couple
it-
big rocks and throw them in that hole out there. and-
But it can be put on the plan in the sense of, like, we are gonna need to plan for it now that our roofs are done. You know, we're not gonna be having big trucks and whatever moving in and doing work for a foreseeable amount of time. So now we can put that back on a project of like it needs to
But
be.
and Tony
in
wasn't
the
aware of
pipeline.
it because he's only been here 3 years, but I said that was actually in the project for the gym,
Okay.
which has to be 5 years ago at least. Anyway,
Okay.
but I'm sure there's no money left, or did they set it aside for it, Jeff?
So do we want to put the committee selection on the agenda for?
Yes, we would put it on, so when, hopefully we have 6 of 6 here, so that, I know that Joan does want to be on some things, or at least be considered for some meetings as well,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I just wanna make sure that I'm getting a
right, well, we should
consensus
have
of,
everybody here.
Yeah.
Or I think it's actually, in the past, sometimes it's been an assignment.
I would prefer some input as well.
We can have the input.
Yes,
but-
yeah, you can have input, yes, there will be some assigning, but, you know, if you're really, really opposed to, for instance, not being on facilities, then.
I remember we used to have a charter representative, and the EastCon representative, I remember when
So
they were saying,
facilities?
I am the
Facilities?
charter and the EastCon representative, thank you very much. So,
You want to send this out ahead of time so people can do that list?
Yes, if you want to send that out and,
It's on the board, it's on the website, the committees and the description, so I'll send that out to people.
and, Keith, anything from?
No.
Anybody, neither was Jack Persons here. Any other liaison or community reports, anything? Old business, transportation updates.
I would just say that our new schedule started on January 18th, and that is the 8:45 to 3:15 time for both elementary and the middle school. And the transportation has been fabulous. It really, for the most part, the busing has been beautiful. The drop-off has gone very smoothly. They drop off the middle, they go right over to the elementary. It's very seamless. The pickup at the end of the day, also with the buses, very seamless. I think we're loading both schools faster than we loaded one of the schools before we did this. And I think part of that is because all of the buses are here, as opposed to, coming in from other runs. So because they're later, they're able to do their high school runs, they get here for the 3:15 time. And even if we have a straggler at 3:20, those at the end of the line, by the time we fill the first 5 or 6 buses, that has gone really well. And the transportation, you all get emails and phone calls from me every other day, but I think even that has gone pretty well. The first day we had a little bit of a backup because there was a car that was in the wrong spot or something, and so created a little backup. Yesterday we had a little backup again. But what's happening is we're just kind of addressing those one at a time, but even the drop off and pickup has gone really smoothly. If I'm not out there watching, I am, peeking out the windows and looking, and it really seems to be going very well. I could not have anticipated how smoothly it's
Once you
gone.
got the left-right thing.
Yes.
I did receive several text messages. Aren't we supposed to be on the left? Why are we on the right? What's going on? I'm like, I don't know. Why are we
I was out there with my little sign.
Well, that's good to hear. Good to hear that it's going well.
That's
And being that.
So, this agenda brief says thank you. Thank you for everybody for the cooperation, for the flexibility, for, moving from left to the right and then back again. And so,
Waiting another snooping.
yes, yeah. So it's really gone
You
well.
had said at one time that there may be a need to do a 5-minute delay or something, but you're not seeing that at this time.
No.
Okay.
Actually, I think the first 3 days, the elementary school was anticipating a 5-minute delay, shift. We don't need it. It's running. It's really running well. So, yeah.
See, all the time, all we had to do was put everybody on the same schedule.
And we were trying to run too many schedules. The buses are,
And I think that, not everybody's 100% happy with it because some people like the early schedule and that impacts to the after school sports a little, but to it, I think there are some concerns about putting all the elementary and middle school kids on a bus together, but I think that's going smoothly. I did receive an email today requesting for some additional support on the bus. I have not been able to follow up yet with that email, but I've tried to respond to people as they come up, and there are questions. Sometimes people are driving in the wrong direction, but for the most part, we are getting the flow down. Officer Karate or Trooper Karate has been here almost every day, and just his presence, I think he's trying to help direct things. And I appreciate that as well.
The elementary kids are getting into class on time or something like that. And
Yeah.
there's a decent sized line going in, but,
Yeah,
and I know some of them are coming in after the 8:45, so.
I think there were a couple days, that the first day that was a,
Right.
and that was just which side of the road are you on? And then, but I think everybody anticipated that. I think we're only 7 days into it, and 5.
I was gonna say, not
Yes,
even.
No,
yeah.
because it was only
And-
two
Because we're only
days
3
last
days
week,
last week.
yeah.
No, 2 days.
Because one was a snow,
One
Wednesday was
Thursday was
snow day, so
snow
there were
day,
only 2 days
yeah.
of school last week.
So-
It was only 5
We're
days.
5 days into it, and what the administrative team I met today, and they said it's really good, and they're all knocking on wood, and but it feels like things were quickly. We got into a flow, and it seems like it's going okay. I'm sure there'll be glitches here and there, but
I like to commend you for your communication on it too. I've enjoyed getting the voicemails. I laugh and I smile just because they're very thorough in it. So it really does give us a status update of what's going on, and it's been awesome.
Well, that's an
There's a
interesting
lot
thing.
into it.
I get the phone call, but no message.
It rings your phone.
There's no message.
really.
Yeah, and no text message. but I get the email.
Oh.
So the text
You can-
messages, I know you called me, but there's no message.
There's usually, I think you have to sign, you have to sign up
Oh,
for a text, I think there might be a text alert and then they get text messages, but I'd have to go back and it's been a
well,
while.
here's my phone, when you figure it out.
No, you have to go into the app to figure out, you have to go actually
I don't know where
into
the apps
So you
are.
know what
I
I
don't
was-
know where the app
We'll work,
stores
we'll
are.
But I was told today, and I had no idea. So I was asked today by Mr. Kelleher, he said, do you send these messages out as emergencies? I'm like, no, they're not emergencies. I think emergency like, you know, there's a water main break and we're sending
Please don't
all
get
kids
your kid,
home.
yeah.
He said that when parents log in and select the messages, some people say, don't, only contact me if it's emergency, only call my phone if it's an emergency. So you might get the emails, but only ring me if it's an emergency. And so I never knew that. And so I think I'll start sending them out.
So then there are people who may not be getting the message.
That's correct. So today's message should have gone out as so it's not a real emergency, but on the system it's an emergency. So it sends it a little differently.
Hmm.
So I learned something today. And so maybe maybe you don't get calls unless it's an emergency.
It's probably my phone.
I get 2 calls, a text, and an email, so I'm covered all the way around.
I make a call and I get a call and a text and an email.
So you really notified?
I notify myself.
Well, this morning, I had to send a message to my daughter and said, I got a text and a call from the school at 6:26, but there's no message. I don't know. And she goes, oh, there was a 2-hour delay. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I didn't, but there was no message.
Huh, okay, so maybe we'll see if you get the next one.
I bring my phone to Jeff. I've done that before.
You have tech here right next to you.
Yeah, okay.
All right, enrollment report.
But I have one more question on the old business, that's all right. Transition, and how are we doing with the transition for some of the teachers and position switching and all that sort of thing?
So the initial schedule change, I think the middle school was really the only one that was impacted by that. I think that they took it like troopers, and, you know, they really just kind of joined in and did what they needed to.
Mhm.
We, as you know, we have one reassignment of a teacher and, you know, so a teacher that has not ever taught that or not taught that content in several decades.
Right.
And so she's adjusting to the new curriculum and receiving a lot of support in that area. So one of the things that Mr. Yuko had spoken about earlier was Pat Sussler being a resource and so we've made that person available to our teacher that's teaching that new content area or the revisiting an old content area. So we're continuing to work with that person to make sure that they have what they need, you know, to teach in that area that they're certified to teach in.
Enrollment?
Any new business?
As I'm going to.
Oh, you're under the ice.
So
My brain's not functioning.
not a lot of changes, but I like to be able to just provide the report for you. You know, there's some ins or outs at different times, but no big changes. One of the things that I wonder if you would prefer to have is a month-over-month enrollment report, or do you like this kind of report? Just something you can think about. I don't have an answer for, but it does show you by grade how many students are in every class. So it does help when you look at, you know, projecting class size, that sort of thing. But
Can I ask about class size? I mean, I know it's super early and it's going to change tremendously before we even get to September 1st. But do we have kind of an inkling of this 133 of pre-K?
78.
78.
Is that a good?
That's, and believe me, I know it's going to change by, you know, 30
78
kids
of
between
those
now and then,
students
up or
will
down.
move to kindergarten is what the.
What the projected,
yeah.
Your question.
Plus kids who come in who
Right.
aren't in.
Haven't been in. So you'll see in the budget documents, we're anticipating 5 sections of kindergarten for next year because of the numbers. And then, you know, that group of kindergartners the 4 sections, remaining 4 sections that's in the first grade, so there'll be some shifting and bumping and, but, you know, as we said, we're a long way away, but if we were to have to make the recommendation now, those, anticipated cuts or shifts are in the, budget binder.
So we're saying, like, if we remain stagnant, we really need 5 sections kindergarten next year because we're gonna get more kids.
So we minimally enter with 78 students, plus those students we don't know about yet. The kids that didn't come to our preschool.
Oh, we got 2 dozen more.
Yeah.
The high school contracts. So, you have me now?
Yep.
All right, so, on page 3. So we have to guarantee, so the last sentence of that first paragraph is wonderful, we have to guarantee them a number of kids that are going.
That's
given.
So it says, should the number of Brooklyn students entering grade 9 be less than the guarantee of enrollment, the tuition shall be based on that guarantee of enrollment Brooklyn has given only the preceding February. So that's what that sounds like.
Is
So
that a typical thing that I tell you there's gonna be 10 and then only 9 show up and we get penalized and stuff?
I would suggest a rewording of that.
Yeah, well, I know that for years, you know, we do the kids, have them choose where they're going. And the number that went to Killingly was far less than the number, just in case.
Right.
And I only remember 1 year where we actually paid for students that didn't. But we had 1 year where we had to pay for students that had chosen. Or sometimes Ellis, they don't know if they're getting into Ellis, so, you know.
And I guess that's what I was kind of.
So you know, it's kind of, the wording does put us in a bind, and it's kind of bogus because we give them a big number, a lower number,
So
or
if
a
we
lower
think,
number than we anticipate.
okay, so if we think 70 could go, we might give them a number of 60. Because we don't wanna end up
Or
paying 70.
I mean,
Well, and I'm
well,
not
I
trying to
mean, it's
be,
only, I think they're only talking ninth graders, right? It's only
and I'm
the
not trying to
ninth graders,
try to be deceptive to them, but in the sense of, like, I was thinking about the Ellis, I don't know when, I'm not saying that, I understand that they're trying to build their budget too. Figure out and make sure that their class does it, so I completely understand and respect that, but in the sense of what happens. If somebody does get accepted to Ellis, I don't know what that timeframe
We've
is. and
never
this-
given them an accurate number because we have to hedge our bet, you know, we like to make sure that we don't give them too many.
And of course, the contract language anticipates that they have limited ability to change the number that they'll accept, but that's never been the case. That's why this has always worked. If we lowball them in the
They might
spring,
say,
we know
that's
they'll
all we
always take more. Yeah.
Right, right.
I mean, there could come a day when they wouldn't do that.
Right.
Well, and just, it is, since this is 10 years and the first time that I'm looking at a review, I just want to make sure that it's kind of that part. On page 4, school, yeah,
Got it.
got it. And then the designated high school of from another town.
Yes.
Transfer to the other designated school, high school from another town, so I think just the other, just keep it out. Thank you. On page 5, right in the middle of 6, 1990.
Oh, yeah. The last one.
On page 6, the end of the first paragraph, the second last line, building services and agrees, I think it's supposed to be and agrees that, but then it doesn't make sense. So related services and agrees that certain of these students will be, something's supposed to be after certain, but I'm not really sure.
It's okay if you just change the and to and.
Well, the and has to be there, but then agrees that certain, so I think there's supposed to be something after certain.
Where are you in case?
They're just,
And the
Okay.
first paragraph.
they're just not saying that they can handle all the kids that we say we're gonna send to them. They may have to send some to some other facility.
Okay, so start at and related and read to the end. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know where you have to.
So the first paragraph, the end of the first paragraph here,
Yeah.
the second line up. So just read from read that sentence, it doesn't make,
And related services, and agrees that certain of these students will need to be educated in outside places.
oh, okay.
First
Introduce
paragraph.
that certain. Okay,
Yeah, I see, Jay, it'd be better to set that at a certain number.
okay.
Right, it's
Okay.
it's oddly worded.
Gotcha, all right. All right, that's fine. 7, I think it's supposed to be if it's determined, that's when we assign the first line, yes, you're right.
Sure.
Top of page 7, if, in the middle of that first line, it says, it is determined.
I think it's supposed to be if it is. On page 9, so what is the additional cost that we are incurring to be a named insured on their liability policy?
Typically, it's zero.
Well, it says
Right.
that Brooklyn agrees to reimburse Killenly
Yeah,
the
no, they
additional
need to
costs.
tell us what it is, if it is
If
anything
there's a
other than zero.
cost that, like, to, no. Also, we would have,
I'm not sure they are producing a cost now, for liability.
Usually, if you need to have an additional named insured, you call up your insurance agent and say, make this person additional named insured, and they say, okay, I did it.
I just want to make sure, because there's no actual cost there, so I don't want to be surprised that all of a sudden now we've got whatever on that. And I think that is it for my,
We should see the invoice for the
well, that's what I'm saying, it's like,
Can't be.
I don't know if it's, we just have to add some additional language that it needs to be discussed, because we would, I mean, if it's more than $1, we really need to put it into our budget and plan for it accordingly, and I don't want to be sideswiped with just a random cost that nobody knows what it is or when it's incurred, so. Okay, I think that's it for me. So do we want to,
Maybe it's just in case there is ever a cost.
but I feel like it leaves it very open-ended, definitive number, so what happens if $1? So would you like us to approve this in theory, or do you want to, with the change that we've made, or do we need to?
I think that as long as you're comfortable with the corrections, the only question is liability insurance. I mean, some of that's just.
Well, the insurance, and if you were gonna rewrite the ninth grade projection.
If we can, if we continue to follow what we've always done, then.
Right, and they must
Okay.
know that we do that, that we always have more than.
I just wanted to make sure that, we're not super penalized, and I understand it's for basis of them trying to form their own budgets as well and class sizes, but I just. Okay.
So should we?
So, I would entertain a motion to approve the contract between the Killenly Board of Education and the Brooklyn Board of Education with the typographical changes that we have made. And further clarification on the, liability, potential liability costs.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Lee. Is there a second?
Second,
Any other further questions or comments? No, all in favor? Aye. Very good, thank you. All right, we just wanted to review the dates, just because I know we've had a couple of scheduling changes. We are changing our Lighthouse District training to February 21st from 6:30 to 8:30. Because Nick would like 2 hours, so we're gonna do a budget workshop from 5:30 to 6:30 ahead of that, since we're already out for the evening. So Jeff, I won't be at 4:30. And then, the following week is our regular scheduled Board of Ed meeting, and we're gonna do another another budget workshop ahead of that, and we're hoping by that point in time, we're starting to really drill down some of these numbers. Maybe we've gotten some information from the state, at the meeting on the 28th. We can go over, any information that was potentially discussed at the board finance meeting. And, Jeff, are you anticipating on the 21st of February to work out the schedule of when you would like presentations from each of the respective board budgets?
Yeah, I'm actually supposed to work something up and send it out to the members before the meeting on the 21st, and it will be discussed on the 21st. This is slightly off the subject, but there's a statutory requirement that the Board of Education budget be presented to the Board of Finance by April 1st, I think. It might be the first week in April, I'm not sure. I just want you to know that given the budget situation, we would be we would accept a minimal presentation at that time because frankly, I don't think we're going to know enough to put together budgets that early. I do think there will be a big crush in May to try to put together budgets for the taxpayers to vote on sometime in late June.
So, do you, I just think you're going to be the one presenting. Do you want to possibly think about the 21st of March? Do you want us to present? Usually the Board of Ed is by itself?
Yes.
Okay. Would you like us, possibly to be presenting at your regular Board of Finance meeting? Or, I
It'll
don't
be
know.
before our meeting.
Maybe, but I don't know. Let me put together
Okay.
the list. And,
Well,
you've got plenty of time.
But we would have our 2 February meetings
Mm.
of budgeting before that, and then if we presented potentially at the 21st meeting, then if we had significant changes or alterations that we need to make, we would have a meeting the next week, our regular meetings the next week, that we could come back as a group, and if we had to do some, like if they had some,
Some
serious.
input that our budget's too high.
Any input, I mean, and,
You can just anticipate that.
well, but I mean,
Right.
I can already tell you that's okay.
And
We have a
we
couple
know
other
that
meetings for
it's-
me to repeat that.
yeah. I mean, and we know that every week's gonna be a different story from the governor, so it
Yeah, and
just,
we're not gonna have any answers, so
But-
we can just work to pare it down as much as we can.
I mean, we can just, fine tune it more, but,
I'll tell you what I'll do. When I put together the schedule, I'll write down that on the March, third Wednesday in March, the Board of Education will present, but I'm anticipating in writing that down that that's a minimal presentation because of lack of.
and again, I was just thinking that if we presented one week and then we have a meeting the next week, so it's not that we're waiting another 4 weeks to, if there's significant input from the town, we need to.
Because nothing's gonna change between the third and fourth. week.
Is there any other business that you have for us that we can discuss?
So the one thing that I had not added to the agenda, I did meet had 4 parents come yesterday and a couple teachers and a paraprofessional come to talk about the calendar committee. I did have some people weigh in electronically and give me some questions or thoughts about that. I would like to present some calendars at least to the board for consideration for next month. Like to get that on the agenda so we get our calendar established. Basically you saw the email, you saw the communication, we're just looking at trying to align, not everybody's on the same schedule and what makes the most sense. We did make a few adjustments based on, like sometimes we have a Monday, Tuesday, and Killingly has Friday and Monday, so maybe we should be aligned to Killingly every day that we're not in session, when another school's in session, or we are, and when they're not, we're paying additional fees for buses. So we try to overlap as much as possible while considering families and, some of the people weighed in, want to get out as early as possible in June, and that's a priority. And So anyways, I'll share that out. I'll share it out with the staff ahead of time and with you ahead of time for your consideration and then hopefully for a vote in February.
I did hear someone say that we probably didn't need any PD days in January because this year the kids are hardly in school.
Right.
Right. But by March is a long month, so maybe you could shift that there. Although I know you like to get them in early in the year, so kids, because teachers can actually implement the information. So it's catch-22.
But I think that if I get it out, anyone will have enough time to provide feedback. And really, I think that's, we're never gonna make everybody happy, but it's nice to get the input, different ideas from different people, so.
And just under other as well, we did have the paid legislative breakfast this week, and I just want to thank the staff. They did a fabulous job, and Joan for heading up the mic, and just I think some good discussions that we had with everybody that was there from the different boards of ed and our representatives. Just very interesting conversations, and again, a lot of uncertainty, but
And a little frustration.
a little frustration. But I think we are well represented, even though we are a minority in this corner of the world. But I do think that the representatives that we do have really work hard for our district. So I think, appreciate that.
Thank you for so many of this board being there, and Ms. John was there. It was nice. Thank you.
Anything else, guys?
What happened this morning with the buses? Why did we
It was ice.
delay this morning? There was no ice on any town road, according to the town road.
So the explanation is I did, as I walked out to take my dog out, I saw the highway department go by with their sander, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, well, I'm in Mass. And so, but when I got back, I had multiple calls and emails and texts on my phone from the bus company. And so the bus company drivers had gotten to the bus lot and were very concerned about the road. Saw several spinouts, and they were very concerned about taking the buses out and picking up kids at that time. And so I quickly made a couple calls, and Brooklyn was not out on the road sanding or doing anything yet. And so I had a decision to make. The drivers were uncomfortable. They felt as though it was a risk to put the buses out. They felt like they couldn't even get them out of the lot. And so I tried to make some calls, tried to connect with a couple people. I did reach out to superintendents in the area. And it was Pomfret said their DPW had some concerns, but they were already out on the roads, taking care of the roads. And the Thompson had a delay too. So I made my best judgment and made it.
Err on the side of caution, yeah, bad thing.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be critical, but I mean, what I heard was that the drivers canceled the buses. That bothered me, so.
I think that you could look at it that way, but there are the people that go out on the roads. They were the only ones on the road at 6 o'clock when I was making that call. So nobody else had actually been on the roads of Brooklyn. So I have to kind of take some
Sure, I
feedback
understand.
from
I'm
them.
not trying to be critical.
And, just as a follow-up, Thompson was able to do an hour delay. I couldn't even do an hour delay because our sanders weren't even out yet. So at that point, the high school runs would have started if it was an hour delay, they would have started in another 15, 20 minutes. And so at that point, I couldn't even put an hour delay. I had to go with a 2-hour delay. So I talked to DPW as well. And, the head of our Department of Public Works. And we had some conversation about that as well, and how we might handle that differently. And so we have some thoughts about that.
Any public comment? No, Ms. Landis.
Amy Landis, Fairway Drive. I read my instructions in there. I just wanted to echo what Patty said about the transportation. I know I've been here before to voice my concerns about transportation, and the 5 or so days we have been in school have been really great. I've been the parent, waiting for the bus at home, and I was the substitute today, helping get kids on and off the bus. And from both sides of the coin, it has gone very well. The middle school and elementary school kids together has worked very well. I know a lot of elementary school parents had concerns about that. I have some of the big kids, and I know that they're looking out for the little kids too. And the bus drivers, our bus driver in particular, has been wonderful, and I really appreciate what the bus company has done with this and all of you. And hope it continues.
Yeah, public comment? Just to let the public know, we are actually going to go into an executive session. We're going to be discussing some security measures and the superintendent's mid-year evaluation. We are not going to be taking any sort of action coming out of this executive session. When we come out of the executive session, we are going to adjourn. So there's no decisions that you are going to be making. You are more than welcome to stay with us. We will be keeping you out of the room though, because you're just to stay here. But just again to reaffirm that we're not making any sort of decisions when we come out. The only decision we're making is to go home. So we're going to just take a quick recess so we can shut live tubes off and all of that. Oh, that's fine. No, that's fine. I'm very